again, Candis Kloverstrom, illustrator of the Word. And if you have been on my blog site, candiskloverstrom.com, you'd have seen this illustration on Mother's Day. I did a blog about this illustration. It's about brokenness. Just as this pot is broken, we oftentimes have brokenness in our lives. Well, I took this illustration and I created this sketch, this large sketch, and it's ready to go on a canvas. Now obviously there's a lot to be done for this to turn into a full-size painting. But isn't that what our lives are like when we walk with the Lord? I mean, we become a Christian, we receive Jesus, and when we start, we very much have only a sketch. And depending upon what we do, good, bad, we are creating a painting. But when Jesus gets a hold of that painting, he starts putting really great colors in the canvas, and he creates really good things. But just like that pot is broken, sometimes we have things that happen, and you see, this is a faith walk. And we don't understand some of those things that happen. In fact, there's a family in the Word of God, a brother and two sisters, that went through something very, very difficult. Lazarus, Mary, and Martha. Well, one day Lazarus got very, very ill. In fact, he was on his deathbed. Well, Martha and Mary were incredibly concerned. And you see, they were good friends of Jesus. And they sent a courier message to Jesus and said, and they reminded him, remember, that friend that you love, you know, that your good friend, he's very sick. You must come right now. Well, Jesus didn't come right now. In fact, he waited a couple of days. Maybe you're in that situation where you're banging on the gates of heaven and you don't understand why God isn't answering your prayer. Well, I'm here to tell you that he is listening. Now, when he got there, Lazarus had been in the grave for 4 days. And Martha came out and met him on the road and said, Jesus, if you had only been here, our brother wouldn't have died. And Jesus said, now if you will believe, will you believe that your brother will rise again? And she said, well, of course. You know, my brother's going to die. He's going to raise him on the last day. Well, Jesus is thinking 10 minutes from now. And Martha is thinking at the end of the age. In other words, when everything is said and done in this world, then he'll rise again. But that's not what Jesus was thinking. He's thinking 10 minutes. And so he said to her, he said, roll that stone away. And of course Martha is saying, no, I mean, he's been in the grave. Are you kidding? You got to be kidding. He's right. If you take that stone away, he stinks. You don't want to do that. And he pushed her again, ever so gently. Martha, will you choose to believe? Well, in obedience, she did roll that stone away. And as a result, he was raised again. And with a very loud voice, Jesus said, Lazarus, come forth! And of course, out came Lazarus, wrapped in grave clothes. And Jesus said, take the grave clothes off. And this was the message that Jesus had wanted to give. He said, I am the resurrection and the life. He isn't just life, Jesus is resurrection. And that thing in your life that seems to be dead, I want you to know, the Lord, if you give that to the Lord, he will bring life in that situation. Now, what that will become, how he will turn that around, I don't know. But I do know that this is a faith walk. And just as he wanted Martha and Mary to walk in faith and to trust him, he also wants you to walk in faith with him. And so he's saying, will you believe?